I'm Hulk Hogan, the greatest wrestler of all time.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
A spaceman, huh?
No, actually, I'm a plumber.
New World Order.
Honestly, I can't go anywhere without getting a boner.
How you doing?
I live my life.
Woo! The Rock says,
Sweet baby Jesus in the office.
Hi everyone, you're watching the Wrestle Rock Podcast Season 5. I'm Johnny D, and I am with my partner Benoit, aka Nostradamus. Ben, how's it going today, my friend?
Fine. And you know what?
No.
Today, we wanna rock, baby.
Yes, we have a special guest. He is a founding member and guitarist for Twisted Sister. Give it up for Gigi French. How's it going today, my friend? You are on mute, my friend.
Ça va recommencer.
Oh. Are you okay? Rétablir le microphone. Oh, what happened? Rétablir le micro. Oh, we have a little problem for the intro.
On va recommencer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's perfect. So we're going forward, and I can just simply update the video after for the rendering. So that's not an issue. Well, thank you for being here. This is awesome that you accept our invitation for the Wrestle Rock Podcast Season 5. And when we discuss all together in private, we discovered that you are not just a guitar player, because we know that you have been involved with a couples of wrestling stars in the past, and that will be very interesting to talk about, of course, your music career. So go ahead with the first question, my friend.
Yeah, okay, Mr. French. You and your brother were raised in Manhattan. What was your childhood in Manhattan?
Well, I was born in 1952.
Okay.
So that makes me 71 years old. 72 this year, as a matter of fact. Crazy. And growing up in New York City, is a very interesting place to grow up, especially in Manhattan, because it is so much the center of so many things, and so many cultural things, and so many historical things. And my daughter said to me once, when she was 8 or 9, she goes, "Oh, New York is so boring." And I said to her, "New York is boring?" I said, "Everybody in the world wants to be here." I said, "Do you want to be anywhere else? Tell me, you want to go to Iowa or Nebraska?" Nah. I said, "Well, they all want to be here. So if you think this is boring, I got news for you. The rest of the world is going to be really boring, because this is a crazy place to grow up in." But I grew up here, and when I was 10 years old, or actually 9, is when I watched the first wrestling show when I was 9 years old. Yeah, 1961.
Yes, that's we discussed, because I remember you saw Buddy Rogers won the first WWF title in 1962. You saw Hogan versus the Iron Sheik at the Madison Square Garden,
1984.
And you also saw Mr. USA Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson make history by becoming the first ever tag team champion, the first ever black tag team champion of all time. So, what is your best memories in professional wrestling?
Well, I would say that the very first time I watched it on television, I was mesmerized. I mean, I was 9 years old. My father had been in the army in the 40s, and he had been a boxer, and he liked boxing a lot, you know. And he always used to tell me about Joe Louis and all the famous boxers.
Okay.
But when I saw this wrestling, I said to my father, "What's that? Like, what is that? Like, what are they doing?" And I would see. You remember in those days. It was kind of the really early days of the WWF was transitioning from the Capital Wrestling Group. That was Vince McMahon's father, right? Yeah. And the NWA, Vern Gagne. I'm talking for people who are either my age or have read the history of wrestling. We know that that there was the Midwest Wrestling Circuit, there was the Texas Wrestling Circuit, there was the South Wrestling Circuit, and they're all separate. You know, they're all like separate. Yes. It wasn't this big national thing, and everyone kind of just had their own little groupings. So I didn't know that, right? I did not know that. All I saw was Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. I saw Antonino Rocca. I saw Argentino Apollo. I saw Haystacks Calhoun. I saw the Kangaroos, the first tag team champions, Wild Red Berry. And I said to my dad, I said, wow, this is so cool. It's on every Saturday morning. And my father said to me, well, listen, I got to tell you something. I said, what? He goes, it's all fake. So he said this to me. I was 9 years old, right? And what do you mean? He says, well, it's all planned out. I said, but they're kicking each other's butt up on that. You know, they're getting beat up. He goes, well, they may be getting beat up, but every match has been figured out. Mm-hmm. And I said, who knows that? And he goes, we don't know that. Somebody knows that. And so here's the point. The point of me saying this was that it didn't matter to me. It did not matter. I had so much fun watching it and guessing who was going to win a match that I started to understand the pace of the matches, how a match was choreographed, and how it was designed to create the audience to be sucked in. And the really good matches really could take you. And so it didn't matter to me. It didn't matter because the end of the day is the athletes were unbelievably great, you know, and you can tell. So when people talk about like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, coming off of the rope, or Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, you know, those guys, without Antonino Rocca and Argentino Apollo, you don't have those guys. You know what I mean? It's like, without James Brown, you don't have Michael Jackson. You understand? Yeah. Like, it's because of James Brown, you got Michael Jackson. Well, it's because of Antonino Rocca and because of Argentino Apollo, who most people don't know who these names are, right? Yeah, right. They were the most acrobatic guys. They put themselves in the air. They did flips in the air. They did back somersaults, and they were beautiful to watch. And that stays in my mind a lot.
Yeah, and I say sometime with people when we discuss about professional wrestling is fake, I always said the same thing. When you're watching an action movie, my friend, you know what? The villain, it's not a really good villain, you know, and that's a script, but you're watching the movie, and that's practically the same thing, you know, and that's why we love professional wrestling, you know. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. You lived in Michael Lay's personal house in Dallas, Texas. Can you explain your friendship with Michael Lay's and the reason you were hosted by Michael Lay's?
So from, let's say, Bruno Sammartino won the title from Buddy Rogers in '63 and held it for a very long time. I think held it for 8 years. It was the longest running champion in the history of the WWF. And you know, by 1972, when the band started, we were touring and we were playing all the time. So I didn't get a chance to watch much of it. Occasionally I would watch, I'd catch something on TV, but it was kind of like, it wasn't really that big yet. Things hadn't really gotten big. And then when AJ Pero, my drummer, joined Twisted Sister in '82, he says to me, "My dad used to take me to the Garden and see wrestling matches." And I said, "You're kidding me." Because the other guys in the band, they're like, I mean, yeah, they knew who people were, but we never talked about it. There's whatever. But AJ goes, "Man, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go." I said, "Okay." So the very first match, when AJ just joined the band, the very first match we went to was the match in which Bob Backlund lost to the Iron Sheik. And Arnold Skolin was his manager. And I do remember Golden Boy Arnold Skolin as a wrestler. He was he was a baby face. He was a good guy. So I remember, and I hadn't heard Skolin's name in a while. So all of a sudden they go, and Bob Backlund's manager is Arnold Skolin. And I said to AJ, that's Golden Boy Arnold Skolin, So that was a controversial match, because you're not supposed to lose on a DQ. You're not supposed to lose your title on a disqualification. That's supposedly, you have to lose it by a pinfall. That's the only way you can lose it. You can't lose it by a DQ, right? That's one of the crazy written rules that can be violated at any time they want to violate them, and change them. So Skolin throws in the towel on Backlund, and the Sheik puts the camel clutch on him and wins the title. And AJ and I are like, we're like kids. We're freaking out. We're like, we're jumping up and down at the Garden. I mean, at that time I was like 31 years old, AJ is jumping up and he goes, "Fuck it, man. Look, you see what's going on?"
The good old days,
This is unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. The Iron Sheik got him on the camel clutch. So we went home. Oh, I know what it was. They announced that night, they said tickets on sale for the next match a month from now, right? So I said to AJ, "Let's go down to the ticket booth now." We run downstairs and we get tickets to the next match. We weren't quite sure who was going to be the next match. I know this is a long answer for you, right? But I need to give you some color to this thing, right?
Right.
So we get tickets to the next match. And what was the next match? Hulk Hogan defeating Sheik for the title.
Wow. A
That
piece
was-
of history.
Oh yeah, Hulkamania.
Yeah.
That was the next month, right?
Yeah.
So me and AJ are at the Garden, going crazy, because Hulk Hogan had made his appearance in the Rocky movie. Remember?
Yeah.
So we knew Hulk Hogan came on the scene really fast. Like, you could really tell that Vince McMahon was thinking, if I can get this guy under contract, he's so hot right now. And if I bring him in the ring, because he had no right fighting for the championship, he had no history. It wasn't like,
I'm totally agree about that.
it wasn't like he had 5 years worth of matches and rematches and almost winning and not winning. He came out of nowhere, like nowhere. They go, "Ladies and gentlemen, star of the Rocky, Hulk Hogan," comes in the ring, and he just knocks the Sheik out in like a minute, like done. And I looked at AJ and I said, "AJ, this is the changing of the guard at the WWF." I said, "This is a whole new world." It really was the ushering in of Backlund being out and Hogan coming in, changed the entire complexion.
Yeah.
Of
That's
wrestling.
when the golden era started, my friend. So
Yeah, right. So all of a sudden, right? MTV discovers it, and everybody, like, it's rock and wrestling.
Yeah.
So Cyndi Lauper's husband, Dave Wolf, her manager.
Yeah. Because you were associated with Cyndi Lauper and Lou Albano during MTV rock and wrestling era.
So what happened was he contacts my manager and says, "JJ French likes wrestling." And they get me on the phone, and Cyndi goes, "I got a great idea. It's really cool with Lou Albano. We're gonna give him a gold record at the Garden, and then he's gonna hit David over the head with it, and you're gonna be there." Okay. So I went, "Sure." So you have to understand, up until this point, everything I thought about it was my imagination. I didn't know how the script was written, who wrote the script, who decided at the last minute. And, you know, when you're that close to it and you're a performer, like I'm in a heavy metal band, you know, people want to know what goes on behind the scenes for a heavy metal band. I want to know what goes behind the scenes at the wrestling match. So all of a sudden, I'm behind the scenes. I'm in the dressing room.
Okay.
With Dave Wolf and Lou Albano, and I guess one of the script writers for the WWF. And they're writing the script for how the match is going. And I'm standing there going, oh, crap, man. I'm watching this thing. Like, wow. So you know, a gold record, you know what a gold record's in a plaque, you know, it's in a frame.
Yeah.
So a real gold record has some weight to it. Like the frame is heavy. If you hit somebody over the head with that, it's gonna hurt. Like really, it's gonna hurt.
Probably.
So Cindy, I said to Cindy something like, Lou is gonna hit Dave over the head. She goes, yeah, but it's gonna be like it's gonna be made out of balsa wood, not real wood. So they make this fake gold record, with like the thinnest paper and balsa wood. The thing weighed about 2 ounces. You could not kill a cockroach with this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So in the script, and they're writing the script down. They're writing the script. In the script, Cindy is going to thank Lou for being her father in the video.
Okay. Girls I
remember, right?
I remember that.
And then Lou is going to turn around and have an argument with Dave Wolf and smash him over the head with a gold record. Right? So they're writing the script.
That was awesome.
Like, I'm going, wow, man, this is so freaking cool. Like, this is cool. I'm going to be in the ring, like at Madison Square Garden. Well, this bullshit's going on. Like, I can curse, right? I want to. Can you curse? Can you use bad language on this? Okay, cursing. Yes.
Yes.
No. Yeah. It's okay. Okay. Anyway, so they do the whole thing, and Lou Albano comes out, and Cindy gives him the gold record, and he turns around and he smashes Dave Wolf over, and Dave goes into convulsions, like convulsions, and they bring an ambulance in.
Oh.
With paramedics.
Okay.
And I didn't know this part was happening. I didn't know this was happening. So they bring these guys up. Yeah, these guys dressed up in hospital garb with a stretcher, and they put a neck brace on Dave, and they put Dave on the stretcher, and they're supposed to take him to the hospital. So meanwhile, the cameras are following us, you know, all the way down off the ring, outside into the dressing room area, and Cindy is holding Dave's hand. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. He's like, I can't walk. I can't walk. And so they said to me, JJ, hold Dave's hand. Hold Dave's hand. Like, so there in the WWF magazine that month, there was a WWF magazine. And there's a photo of me in the ambulance.
Wow. Okay.
Dave Wolf's hand, you know, saying, Dave, you'll be okay, man. You'll be okay. You'll be fine. You know. So I thought that was just really cool. You know, that was just really, really cool. So let's move. So let's now go into all the wrestling fans that were part of the music business who never really talked about it much. Now, because it's MTV, everyone's coming out of the woodwork, you know, like, oh, are you kidding, man? I've been watching this since I was a kid, you know, like all these guys, promotion guys, radio promotion guys, musicians, everyone's saying, I've been watching this, you know, for years, right? One of the biggest, most influential radio programmers was named Tommy Nast, N-A-S-T, Tommy Nast. Okay. In fact, I spoke to him yesterday for the first time in, God knows, about 10 years. Because I told him I was going to be on your show, and I said to Tommy, I got to tell the story about Tommy Ness. So Tommy owned a radio promotion magazine called Album Network, which was very influential in my business. Okay, when the songs were going up the charts and the radio stations, we all watched it. So Tommy published that magazine, and Tommy says to me, "I'm good friends with the Freebirds, Michael Hayes.
Oh yeah,
like I'm really good friends with Michael Hayes, and Michael Hayes." He wants to be in a rock band. He's got a rock band because every athlete wants to be a musician and every musician wants to be an athlete. Okay.
Okay.
So Michael Hayes wants to be a rock star.
Okay.
So Tommy says, you got to meet Michael and help write songs for his next album. So I said, sure, you know. So I start talking to Michael Hayes, right?
Okay.
And on the phone, and he says, and then he sends me all these videotapes of him and the Von Erichs. See, at that point, the Von Erichs had not come to New York City, and they had not made it onto national television because Texas Championship Wrestling was just in Texas.
Okay.
Right? And it's like
It was a territory. It was
very territorial.
Yeah.
So let's say all of the wrestlers that were involved with Ted Turner owned WCW.
Yeah. Bound to Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yes. Yeah, Jim Crockett, right. So you had all those guys like Sting. We didn't know who Sting was. We didn't know the Von Erichs. We didn't know Rock and Roll Express. You know, those guys, Ricky and his partner, the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express. All those guys existed, but we didn't know about them all that much, right? Because they were kept regionally. So Michael goes, yeah, man, the Von Erichs, they rule, man. They're fucking the biggest thing. And we beat them. And he sends me a videotape of the Freebirds defeating the Von Erichs in a match at Texas Stadium, sold out, 50,000 people. And I'm sitting there in my home in Manhattan watching this videotape. And there's Michael and Bam Bam Gordy and Buddy Roberts, right? And
it's been a while.
And you know, and you're watching the whole crowd go absolutely apeshit, crazy. And Michael goes, you know, we got another match coming up pretty soon. And why don't you come down, stay with me? We'll write some songs, and then you come to the match. So I went, okay. So I go down to Texas, and I live with Michael for a week. And we played music.
Okay.
And then he took me to Texas Stadium, and it was the big rematch. And it was two gigantic wrestling rings tied together.
Okay.
At that point, David Von Erich had died, right? So it was Kerry, Kevin, and the younger brother.
The younger brother.
Mike Von Erich.
Mike?
Was it?
Mike Von Erich.
Mike Von Erich.
My memory is good.
So three of them, David had suffered an injury in Tokyo and died. Yeah. So it was the three of them versus the three. So the whole time with Michael, I'm saying to Michael, so what's going to happen in the match? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, come on, Michael. I said, come on. Just tell me. He goes, I can't. We can't. It's like being in the mafia. We cannot divulge anything. Now, let me tell you this. I went out with those guys every night because I was hanging out with all of these wrestlers, all these guys they knew. And, you know, they would go to strip clubs all the time. That's what they would do. And they would get drunk. They drank a lot. But I don't drink. Okay. So, and I don't do drugs. So, because I don't drink and do drugs, I'm not the greatest guy to hang out with if you like to drink and do drugs, because it's boring for me. And I told Michael, I said, you know, I'll drink a Coke, I'll drink some, you know, soda. That's you know, I'm. Let me be clear. I'm not passing judgment. You do what you want to do. I don't care. It's just for me. I don't do it. Right. So, I'm hanging out with, you know, Big John Studd and all these guys, and they're all really nice guys. But when they get drunk and hammered, man, it's like when a rock star gets drunk and hammered, they weigh 98 pounds. And you can just you know, you can throw them in the bed. But when these dudes weigh 450 pounds get hammered, that's a whole other story, you know. And it can get crazy. And so I would sit with these guys and we would talk about my history in wrestling, and they were all respectful, you know, that I knew it. Yeah. They you know, they actually appreciated the fact that I could, you know, talk it because I knew it going back.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came time to like me going, so come on, tell me the story. It's like the mafia, a wall comes down.
Yeah.
We don't violate this,
It is
which
what
is
it is.
cool. Listen, I actually respected that. I actually really kind of respected it. I said, okay, that's the oath they take. It's like you don't ever say in the mafia, I'm in the mafia. You know, you don't go, I'm a made guy. You don't walk up to somebody and tell them that. You don't tell somebody. So these guys aren't going to divulge, no matter how hammered they got, they wouldn't divulge anything. So they wouldn't tell me what would happen. All Michael said was, I want you sitting ringside, okay? You just sit ringside. So I sat ringside for the match, and it was sold out. And it was insane. However, I will say that sitting that close isn't the best thing to do if you're a fan, because a lot of times when they're punching someone, they're not even hitting them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even hitting them, and they're making the noise by slapping the chest and hitting the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I know it, and even though that with all my respect for them as stuntmen, I still want to be entertained. And so I tell people when they go to these matches, sit back a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like sit back, because you want to you want to be, you know, fooled. I mean, you really want to be fooled. Again, I'm being really clear about this. These guys get their asses kicked. They are stuntmen. They're the best stuntmen. But when you're that close and you see them miss, they're not even hitting, like in some of the, and so that kind of was weird to me, you know, like being that, and Michael kept insisting, get close, get close, get close, get close. And I got close and I said, you know what? I think I'd rather sit 20 rows back.
Yeah.
For you understand?
That's totally different, because when you're closer, you know, you can smell, you can just smell the sensitive, the movement. That's what I always said that the emotion is very different.
The feeling,
because, the feeling is very different than if you are on a 10 row behind. So you know. Oh, Tommy, your microphone is on mute. Oh, that's weird.
Is that better?
Okay.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's perfect.
It went by itself. I don't know what happened.
No problem. Okay. And we would like to discuss about your rock music, your rock history, of course. You auditioned in 1972 for the first version of Wicked Lester with Gene and Paul Stanley, and we're supposed to be the spaceman instead of Ace Frehley. Can you share with us more details about that?
Yeah, it's been written about a lot, and I don't ever want to overstate what it was. They auditioned many people.
Okay.
I was one.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was it. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I got an audition because I knew somebody who knew the producer of Wicked Lester, and he got me an audition, and I played with him a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And then they never returned my call. So, I mean, that happens to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Ace replaced me. I have no idea how many people auditioned.
Okay.
Because I met them in
no problem.
Okay.
I met them in June, and they selected Ace in September. They were still advertising for guitar players in the local paper in September.
Okay.
And I did not know. I answered that phone call because I just thought it was another band looking for somebody else, and it was Gene. And his number, they were still in the paper advertising in the local Village Voice, I think. And he just said, "No, we got a guy. We just got a guy. His name is Paul Fraley." That's what he said to me.
Okay.
His name is Paul. We just hired him. And I went, "Oh, okay." So that was 3 months later. So and during that 3 months, I was in another band.
Okay. That's why.
Yeah, I joined another band, and we spent the whole summer rehearsing in a hippie commune in Pennsylvania, and then we played a show, and that was it. So sometime in September or October, Gene said, or he called me, or I called him, or something, and he said, "You should come down and hear the new band. Hear what we were trying to explain." They were trying to explain to me when they met me that they were changing from this band that was Wicked Lester to Kiss.
Yeah.
And Wicked Lester was very much a like a 70s sounding rock group, like the band that did Brandy or A Fine Girl, You What a Good Life You Could Be, Looking Glass. Like they were like that. And they said to me, they said, we're changing. We're not going to be like that. We're going to be like English bands like Slade. And they mentioned Slade, and the
original "Come On Feel the Noise," Slade.
No, well, that was yes, the original, yes, Come Feel, yes, exactly. Okay. So they said we're going to wear platform shoes, and remember, nobody was doing that yet, you know. So we're going to wear platform shoes, and we're going to sound English. They were obsessed with Englishness, you know. So Gene says, "I'm changing my name to Gene Simmons from Gene Klein," and it was Stanley Eisen when I met him, and he said, "I'm going to call myself Paul Stanley." These are very anglicized names. My name was John Segal, and Gene said to me, "That's a very Jewish name." Now, he has a Jewish name. No one ever said to me, "You have a Jewish name" before, and especially another Jew telling a Jew he had a Jewish name. I mean, I'm aware that I'm Jewish, but no one ever made a point of it, especially another Jew telling me. And he says to me, "I look too Jewish with my eyeglasses on," which was a little weird. I thought that was like okay. But frankly, I have to tell you a couple of things. One, when I saw Kiss as Kiss in the loft for the first time, rehearsing, changing over from Wicked Lester to Kiss, they were playing Marshall amplifiers. And American bands back in those days did not play Marshalls. The English bands all did, but the American bands are still playing Fenders and Trainers and a Canadian company, Ampegs, but they weren't playing Marshalls yet. Jimi Hendrix was, but that was it. Well, they had Marshall amplifiers. Like they were making a statement. When they played for me in the loft that afternoon, the statement they made by how they looked and sounded was very much a clear, focused image change. Like you could tell something was going on here. And I walked out. Remember, in those days, the New York Dolls were popular. And the Dolls used to play at the Mercer Arts Center. And so on the very same days, you'd go see the Dolls. You could, I went to the Kiss rehearsal, and the difference between the bands was gigantic. The Dolls they were trying to be like the Rolling Stones. They were trying to give you that Rolling Stones sloppy kind of rock and rolly Faces kind of thing, But Kiss was like regimented. Like you could just tell, like Slade or Sweet, like regiment, or Bowie, the Spiders from Mars, really good players, very focused on an image. And I walked out very impressed by that. And I thought to myself, that's the kind of band I want to put together, focused like that. And that's when the idea changed my name to create an image with my sunglasses, and my name changed. And so that was all part of the catalyst of Kiss. So that's what it was. So I was never in Kiss. I was one of many people that probably auditioned for them. And I will tell you that Ace was the right guy in the right band at the right time. And I think Ace is like the American Keith Richards. I just think he is. If you ask me the most influential guitar players in rock and roll, I would say Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, and Ace Frehley. And somebody would say, well, Ace isn't as good as Jimi Hendrix. He's not as good as Eddie Van Halen. I said, that's not the point. He embodies what a rock star should look like and be like. The way Keith is not Eric Clapton, Keith is not, he's not those guys. He's just rock and roll. He's got the vibe.
He is rock and roll.
That vibe. Ace is probably responsible for more kids wanting to be rock stars than any other guitar player. For all the thousands of people they played for over the years, the arenas. So I give him. I say the nicest things about him. I happen to think that he deserves that. That's what he did. So I put aside all the other critical comments one makes about it. He embodies what rock stardom was to a certain group of people. So that was the story with Kiss. Can I just finish? By the way,
Yes,
Let me
go
finish the Texas thing. Let me just finish it.
Yes, go
Oh
on,
yeah,
go
yeah,
on,
of course.
So the Von Erichs beat the Freebirds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the Freebirds knew that was going to happen. How did I realize I knew it was going to happen? Because at the end of the match, the most valuable wrestler was given a brand new Cadillac or Lincoln Continental car, and they drove it out to the field, right?
Okay.
They drove it out to the field.
Okay.
And as they drove it out to the field, all of a sudden, the Freebirds went under the ring, pulled out chains, ran and smashed the cart to smithereens, which means it was all set up. Okay?
Yeah.
It was all set up. Like, of course, it had to be set up. Why would they have weapons to destroy a car hidden under the stage, right? So at the end of the match, I remember going back to the house and I said to Michael, God, that was amazing. He goes, yeah, wasn't that incredible? Like, he wasn't saying, oh, we lost the match, it's terrible. He was like, we put on a show.
Yeah.
50,000 people lost their freaking minds. They lost
the match of the night, so we don't care the rest. You know?
Exactly. It's exactly right. So then a year later, they all came to New York City.
Okay.
And Vern Gagne from the AWA.
Yeah. Minneapolis.
Right. He brought in all these wrestlers from the Midwest and the South, the Von Erichs, the Freebirds, Big John, like all these guys, the Samoans all came in, and they all had a gigantic wrestling match at the Meadowlands Arena, which is in New Jersey. Okay. And Michael calls me and he goes, JJ, we're all coming to the Meadowlands. And since that's your area, we want you to host a party. So I go, where? And he goes, Studio 54. And I said, wow, I didn't even know Studio 54 reopened. It closed, for a while. Well, it reopened. And they got like 5 limousines. And at the end of the match, the end of the night, we stuffed everybody in limousines and we brought them into the city to party at Studio 54. And, I'm, like these guys are big dudes. These are big. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", and I'm not like 6'8", and there's the Samoans and Terry Gordy and Bam Bam, Big John Studd, Michael Hayes, and they're trying to pick up girls at the bar. I was like, it was really cool. I had a great time. I had a really, really, really good time with those guys.
Okay. In 2006, you visited Quebec City for our summer fest called, in French, Festival d'été de Québec, with the band Scorpions. Did you enjoy your time in Quebec City?
Are you talking about the show in the show the Scorpions we did in?
Yes,
18 years ago.
It was 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah, in Quebec,
yeah,
right?
Yes, of course.
Well, that was a great show. Were you guys at the show?
Yeah, that was my first show ever, music show ever, and I remember,
Okay,
and that was just fantastic for sure.
I think so.
And when you were 2 of the greatest music bands of all time, that's a piece of history for Quebec City. And after this edition of Festival d'été de Québec, there was a big growing up for the Festival d'été, and after that we received a lot of bands like Foo Fighters, Rolling Stone, Imagine Dragons, and you are a piece of history,
Yes.
You have once again a problem with
your mic.
Yes.
How's that?
Yeah,
no problem.
That's good.
So, our album "Stay Hungry," because Much Music loved Twisted Sister, played the hell out of our videos, played our records, and our record sales in Canada were way higher than any other American band's proportional record sales in Canada. So the way it works is in America, if you sell 1 million records, you sell 100,000 in Canada. If you sell 2 million records, you sell 200,000 in Canada. Okay. Well, we sold 2 million records and sold 600,000 in Canada, because we toured with Iron Maiden, and people know, everyone has a copy of Stay Hungry.
Mhm.
Everybody has a copy of it. So when we came back and did the show with Scorpions,
Yeah.
I don't think Scorpions knew how popular Twisted Sister really was. And I think you would agree, our show is pretty unbelievable. Pretty
That's
unbelievable, wasn't it?
totally awesome for sure. And I have the great memories about my evening. It was just insane.
So the next day in the big Quebec newspaper, so the Scorpions were headliners, right? It said
Yeah.
Scorpions and Twisted Sister, right? That was the way it was
Yeah.
billed. In the newspaper, the front
Yeah.
page,
The front page was
it
you.
said
Yeah, I remember.
Twisted Sister and Scorpions in small letters, and it had
Yeah.
a kid dressed as D.
Yeah,
The cover?
and all the bands. I
And then
remember
you
that.
opened up the page and it was all Twisted Sister. I'm thinking to myself, I wonder how Scorpions feels about that. Like, it was monumental.
Yeah,
you know? And
yeah.
then we did Metal Montreal 7 years ago
Okay.
with Slayer and Metallica.
Wow.
And Slayer was one night, Metallica was another night. We flew in from Spain to do that show, and the promoter put us on at 4:00 in the afternoon. Normally we go on at night, and we said, fine, we'll do what we have to do, and we did it, and we got the most reviews, the best reviews. We have films of it. I have films of 80,000 people singing "We're Not Going to Take It" and "I Want to Rock," and we blew the place apart. So we have a huge affection for Canada, a giant affection for Canada. Absolutely love it. The fans are great up there, and they have a great memory, and we have such an affection for what we've done and accomplished and how they feel about us.
Yeah, last year in 2023, Twisted Sister was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What was your reaction when you found out this news?
So that was the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So we were inducted into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame in 2003. And
2003.
2003. Oh, that it's my bad. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, 2003.
No. It's okay. But no. You got your numbers right.
Okay.
We got inducted to the Long Island Music Hall of Fame 2003, and last year, 2023, we were inducted into the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Okay.
So that is correct. And it's always an honor to be inducted into these things because you work hard all your life to matter, to be important to people, to make a difference.
Yeah.
And how do you know you made a difference? Well, you can look at your record sales, you could look at your tour history, and then you could look at your legacy. And if your legacy means that people who vote for these things think enough of you to want to memorialize you in such a way that recognizes your excellence, then you're honored by it. So the Long Island Music Hall of Fame opened in 2003. The first people put into that Hall of Fame was Twisted Sister and Billy Joel. I think Joan Jett. We were the first people to enter that Hall of Fame. And the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame is newer. But when we were told that they were honoring us, here we are with AC/DC, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath. These are the most famous, Metallica. These are the most famous names in metal. And to work as hard as we worked for all the years we put in, because the band's, started 50 years ago. So to be recognized is an honor, and that's a legacy. But you know what's even a crazier, bigger legacy? We're Not Going to Take It and I Want to Rock. Those two songs are the most licensed songs in the history of heavy metal for TV shows, commercials, video games, soundtracks, movies. So bigger than anybody. And that's a real honor because those songs will live forever. We're Not Going to Take It as a worldwide anthem. And it's one of the biggest in the world. And we're honored that legacy lasts. And here we are. Look, think of this. In 1973, Judas Priest, Aerosmith, Kiss, AC/DC, and Twisted Sister all started in 1973.
Yeah.
That's 51 years ago, right?
Yeah.
If you asked us 51 years ago how long we would last as a band, we all would have said
That's
5
insane.
years. maybe 5 years, maybe
Yeah.
10, maybe 10, maybe
Mhm.
10, maybe. Here we are 51 years later. Kiss, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Judas Priest, Twisted Sister, still making a difference. It's incredible.
Excuse me.
And they still there. That was very
Yeah.
rare because, oh man, that's insane. You know, 45 minutes
Interview.
already. Yes, 45 minutes interview. Thank you so much for your time. For ending, as usual, my partner Benoit, aka Nostradamus Ben, it's all about the French prophet, and he will try to predict the future of our guests.
Okay,
Well,
first of all, Mr. French, thank you so much for the interview. And I predict that a movie about Twisted Sister will release in a few years.
Well, that's great. By the way, I have a book called Twisted
Yeah,
Twisted
yes,
Business. You can get that on Amazon.
yes,
And I have a
business.
podcast. I have a podcast which is called the JJ French Connection.
Yeah.
This week I have Tommy Emmanuel. I've had Joe Bonamassa. I've had Steve Vai. I've had some of the greatest musicians, actors, authors, all different kinds of people on my podcast. It's the JJ French Connection, JAYFRENCH, the JJ French Connection on Spotify. You can get my podcast. And also, I do now motivational speaking for all sorts of groups. And if you want to reach me, if you want to book me for that, it's very simple. I'm going to give you an email address. You can email me with this address and contact me about that or any other question you have about Twisted Sister. It's Ask JJ. That's ask, the word ask, like ASK. Ask JJ, JAYJAY. Ask JJTS as in Twisted Sister or Taylor Swift or Times Square. Okay. Ask JJTS at gmail.com. And you can book me for motivational speaking or anything else you may want to reach me for. So, guys, thank you for having me on. And I'm so happy to reminisce about my wrestling history because I don't get a chance to tell too many people my wrestling.
That's awesome that you can accept this invitation, and we discovered a lot of interesting story and the behind the scene of Gigi French, founding member and guitarist for Twisted Sister. Thank you so much, Mr. French.
Goodbye.
And take care, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.